Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Bebop here. Today's quick video is going to be about the protections you need for the mutations this week. If you go up here to activities, the mutations will let you know exactly what 3 dungeons are mutated and what protections you will need. So let's click on Garden of Genesis. Now let's go to M1 and M2 because nobody's running M3 in a random mutation for their dailies. But let's go to number 2 right here. So this is going to apply for 1, and then this will only apply to M2. This week's mutation will be Icebound, so you need ice protection. 50% elemental ice protection is the cap. Can you go over the cap to 60 or so with shield or extra gems? Yes, you can, but you don't need to because it's not going to benefit you any. You're at the cap at 50%, so that means basically that's all the protection they're going to allow you in the dungeon. So even if you go to 70 or whatever, it doesn't matter. 50 is the cap. Now we have Shiver, which is the little ice storm that forms around the named enemies. So that's going to deal damage to you. So you need to get inside the sacred or you will be taking constant damage on the outside. Ranged players, so pay attention to that. Enemies deal 50% in damage as ice. Enemies drop destructible ice crystal upon death that slows and roots players. So Freedom or Purifying Toast Earring is really good this week to get you out of the roots. If someone has a flail in the group, maybe the tank, maybe the healer, maybe one of the DPS, then you can unroot players with the Vortex. Enemies cause a slow on hit. Another reason why the flail would be extremely good this week. Do the Vortex, that will unroot everybody and get rid of the slow, and you can get going. All right, and in the M2s, Festering. Enemies apply a stacking disease on hit, reduce incoming healing 2 to 5% or 2.5 to 5%. Slicers. Enemy casts a slicing beam that deals 30% base void damage when touched. So certain named enemies will drop the slicers and you're going to take the void damage. So make sure you try to watch out for that because it does hit really, really hard. Another reason why I want to make this video is I want to go over a little bit of group comp. Now, you don't have to min-max, for an M1 and M2 daily, okay? But out of respect for your fellow players, your tanks especially, your healers, it's really disrespectful to go in there as only ranged and 1, not doing much damage, but 2, not applying a lot of different debuffs. Your tank then becomes a pincushion. The grouping is terrible, so then your tank has to rotate, which makes him move out of the sacred or her move out of the sacred. And then the healer is going to wonder why you're moving all around because you're trying to group and regain aggro from a ranged Randy, taking it and run far away for some reason. You need to try to work on group comp if you're a new player to help these things go by faster. Yes, you don't need to be pigeonholed into only running this certain weapon style, but there are things you can add to help group comp, to group up enemies, to basically respect the fellow teammates, okay? Because tanking these M1 and M2s is just a crazy mess. I do it every day on stream, live on Twitch all the time, so feel free to come over and stop by and watch. But let's get into the gear sets real quick, okay? Now, the tank is usually going to have a great sword, they can have a flail or a hammer, and then sword and shield on boss with a hammer or whatever they fancy. Make sure you're 50% ice protected or close to. And then down here at the DPSs. Now, if you have a bleed rapier, that's going to be your highest damage output in the group. So if anybody wants to run bleed and practice that, you can. If you want to run just evade, hey, that's great too, because that's insane damage, especially on single targets like bosses. But the spear is the most important weapon to have in any dungeon run. Enfeebling Skewer Spear, that is. Skewer applies weaken, reducing target damage 48% for 6 seconds. Sundering stacks on the spear is also really good. Disdain Affliction would be BIS with the other 2 perks, but at least the Enfeebling Skewer Spear, okay? I don't care what the other 2 perks are, but at least this on some of the named mobs and just some enemies that you can hit to go ahead and weaken enemies up to help out your teammate. You can also run the Power Stone offhand if you want to apply additional weakening. Someone in the group needs to carry the weapon that no randoms in M1 and M2 carry, which is the Great Axe. I have a few up here. So let's just take this one for instance. This is the really important perk, probably second most important weapon in dungeon runs. Enfeebling Maelstrom. Targets hit by Maelstrom, no reprieve, which is all the way down the skill tree on Maelstrom. Imply weaken 27% for 8 seconds, okay? Don't really care what your other 2 perks are, but that is what you want to do, okay? You want to grab the Great Axe, You want to wait until the tank gets to where they're at and then throw the grab well. Don't mind my perks that I have selected here because I was messing around with the Tempest Fury yesterday doing whirlwind and just acting a fool while tanking, okay? But you want to throw a grab well, and then when everybody's grouped up, you maelstrom. That second hit will weaken everybody, and then you get back to your main weapon and you do damage. The grouping up of enemies is so important because when you are then swinging, you are hitting multiple mobs instead of just one mob, okay? Which is going to melt the group faster and allow you to get through these things and get back to PvP or whatever it is you do, farming rocks or whatever the fun stuff you do is, okay? So it's not about you have to run this only in veteran players or, you know, blah, 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 being toxic. It's to help and respect your fellow teammates because, man, when I'm in there tanking and it's nothing but 3 ranged, that's just pure disrespect. And it is also a bit of the, you know, we don't know how to run dungeons. AGS did a terrible job of promoting dungeons like they used to when running them. This whole past year has been nothing but PvP updates. So the implications, the rewards of running, you know, M1, M2, M3, especially M3s, it's just not there, okay? Except for your random gold. So a lot of people just go in there, they don't care. They're going to sign up for DPS, wait 20 minutes when you can sign up as a tank, get in there in 17 seconds. And they're just going to go in there and then, you know, play whatever the hell they want to play and just sit back with, you know, a ranged ability, just shooting like this, maybe hitting 1 or 2 mobs and maybe missing a few shots. And it's just very slow, not good DPS. Ranged weapons and mutations should be ran as burst damage only. You can also run the hatchet as Genesis this week. Hatchet's really good. If you have a hatchet with Keen Berserk on it, like the Duneborn hook, then you can also run this, have refreshing torrent on one of your clothing pieces. But this will also do really good damage. Hatchets are really good in hives. Or in dungeons. So just throw a great axe on your back or a hammer for CC. And then that way you can help the group out. Also, healers. You need to be having a Void Gauntlet or Flail. Void Gauntlet for, you know, with Oblivion down would be really nice. Let's see if I even have one here. I do. You need to have the Void Gauntlet with Oblivion, and then you need to practice Void Blading, okay? Because you're going to add 30% Rend when you do 3 hits, and you're going to also give everybody the 15% empowerment. You can also add Rupture to the bosses, and that way everybody gets additional healing. And then you can also have Scream right here to root enemies. So after the Great Axe player groups everybody up, then you can run up and Scream and root them even more. Put Oblivion down and then get to work on Void Blade, okay? Get used to doing that as a healer. That's pretty much expected nowadays. If you have a flail, then that's fine. Get active with the flail. But that's basically pretty much it. You want 50% ice protection or, you know, close to give you the max protection so you don't get knocked all the time in the M1 and M2s. I mean, M1s are really super simple. I see a lot of people struggling in M2s though. So go ahead and max protect yourself. Get used to it in case you ever decide to run M3s. All right. Well, that's today's video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. See y'all in the next one.